Okay guys, in this video I will show you a short tutorial on how to make a short flight with the Hindenburg, the new add-on from Red Wing Simulations. This add-on is very complex, very complicated. It has a very steep learning curve, but you don't need to know a lot or even everything to have some fun with it and do some short flights. And if you have watched my German videos and understood them, you don't need to watch this video. I will not show anything that I haven't shown in my German videos, in German language, that's my native language. And it's not about navigation, it's not about being perfect, it's not about doing everything by the books, because we still have some few bugs. And these have mostly impact on lift, and it's very hard to recognize these bugs because we have not much gauges in this Hindenburg Zeppelin. So I dug into the variables and in the code and made myself a little gauge where I exactly see how the ballast tanks are filled and the gas tanks, and so I found a few bugs and we can work around them in our few first flights until the first hard facts will be released. We will do this little flight in Berlin. We will start at Tempelhof. You can of course use any other airfield you want. I recommend for beginners to use a plain area where you have not much mountains. And I recommend for your first flights to don't use airports higher than 2,000 feet elevation. Lift in Zeppelins or in airships is working completely different than in aircrafts, and we have problems with high altitudes. So keep that in mind. Also, I recommend strongly to not use live weather for your first flights, and even to disable the wind speed completely. So the first things we do is, I think the English term is slew. Slew mode. Yeah, I'm using slew mode to just get my airship a little bit more in the center of the airfield. So, slew mode off. I just let the cameras adjust. This is a scenery also from Red Wing Simulations from their 1935 series. So this is a historical airport. It's very neat and gives a lot of immersion. Wrong. Right. So after we have set our aircraft and load into the flight, or have loaded into the flight, we first go to the kneeboard, menu, and we set the status to cold and dark. That's where I like to begin, because if you load into the world on the runway, we already are in the ready for takeoff mode, and I just want to show it from the start. Cold and dark start. We just wait until the add-on has done its setup. We wait until this icon disappears and we hear no clickings anymore. And now we have a cold and dark state. For the first flights, I definitely recommend using easy mode. I recommend disabling the captain, the rudderman, the elevatorman, the watchman AI. Most importantly, because we want to do some of this stuff manually. We have more control of it, or better and faster control of it. And secondly, because we don't have the models of the persons here, because this is our workspace. I need clear sight in my workspace. I need to see these gauges. I need to see these gauges. And for the beginning, or for beginners, this fictional kneeboard is very important. It's like a flight display. Here we can see everything we need in one location. Heading, altitude, Speed, I'm using meter, also metric units, meter and kilometers per hour. And we also see our motors, how the engines are working, if they are working slow, half speed, full speed, reverse, etc. And we see our lift. That's a very important number. I will explain it a little bit later, but that's our lift. I just call it lift. It's basically the difference between our gross weight and our displacement weight. I don't know the exact English terms, but if our airship is heavier than the air we displace, then we will sink. And if our airship is lighter than the displaced air, we will ascend. We will climb. So that's a very important number. And now we can talk just very quickly about some options. FX just means effects. It's a performance thing. If you want to see effects, it will decrease your FPS. If you want to see passengers, it will decrease your FPS. If you have a good system, you should be okay. If you have a weak system, you probably want to disable them. Move. Walk means normal camera speed. Run is just a little bit faster. Engine. This is how you set up your controls. If you have hardware levers that you want to use for the engines, you can use all. If you have 4 levers, like Bravo, then you can set throttle axis 1 to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and always use the axis, the throttle axis with the description 0 to 100%. If you use the axis without this description 0 to 100%, it will not work. Since you guys speak English, just look into the manual. I believe it's page 61. There are some setups for the throttles, the curve. If you have only 2 throttle levers or just 1 throttle lever, I recommend using left-right. So you can use throttle axis 1 for the left engines and throttle axis 2 for the right engines. Always the axis in the bindings with 0 to 100%. And if you just have 1 lever, then just bind throttle axis 1 and 2 on that 1 lever. Okay? I'm doing something different. I'm using X's and O's. So I'm coming from outside the simulator with my controls, and I'm using not a throttle axis. I'm using the variables for the controls. So I'm using manual. But I'm actually using levers. If you don't want to use levers at all, you can use manual, and then you can just control these engine levers or control levers with the mouse. It just will not work if you are not in the air. For the order of the engines, number 1 is the forward left engine. Number 2 is the rear left engine. Number 3 is the rear right engine, and number 4 is the front right engine. And we don't directly control the throttle of the engines. We give orders. We give the orders, idle, slow, halt, full, or reverse, and the mechanics in the engine gondolas, I don't know the English word, on the engines, there are people, and they will actually control the throttles. And we have to make sure that they really get our orders, and how this works I will show later when we are on flight. So that's for the throttle setup. Other than the throttles, the rudder is controlled with the aileron axis. So you can use a typical joystick binding setup. Aileron axis for the rudder and elevator axis for the elevator. We can lock the controls. We can lock the elevator with this lever, or the keybind is windshield de-ice toggle. You find these keybinds in the manual, also page 60, 61, around that. We also can lock the rudder with this lever. For me, it's just not working with a mouse click. And the keybind for that would be pitot heat toggle. So if we use a joystick or your yoke or whatever to turn the rudder to the left, and we would center our joystick, the rudder would come back. So if you want to keep a rudder to the left or to the right, we just set the rudder and then lock it. Same for elevator. In case you don't know how to move through the cockpit or the gondola, standard bindings or default bindings are the arrow keys. Arrow left right is left right camera. Arrow up down is camera up down, and shift plus arrow up down is forward and backwards. This is very unpractical, so I have bound my camera keys on WASD for forward, backwards, left, right, like in a shooter or a first person game, whatever. And I use the keys Q and E for up down. So I can, just like in a third person or first person shooter, control my direction of the camera with the mouse. Right click and the mouse, and WASD QH to move. Up, down, left, right, forward, backwards. You find the bindings also in the manual, page 60, 61, around that. So, now we get started for the journey. We have to do some very important things on the center of gravity and load page, because we have a few bugs at the moment. And we have also bugs that are obvious and some bugs that are not obvious. It's hard to explain the difference. Everything I show now on this page is just for the moment. As soon as the first hot fixes arrive and everything is working as intended, we can just use this page as it would be intended to. But for now, I recommend just filling up all gas cells completely. I forgot. We have to check and select this box.
Start maintenance operations, please.
Now we can fill every cell completely and one click on release, on minus, so that the blue marker is on the most upper marker of the scale. Cell 2 has a little bug with the marker. It works. You can fill it up completely. One click on minus. It's just not moving the marker. And that's what we do with all these cells. Fill them up. One click on minus. Except maybe for cell 12. Because cell 12 is the cell above the passenger compartments. And that's where a lot of weight is here. So we might leave it completely filled. I somewhere read that this was normal. And the rest of the cells we just fill up and one click on minus. So that we, on these gauges, actually have no cell really above 100%, except cell 12. And that's the right red light saying us, this cell is actually overloaded. Some of these lights are not working. I guess these are also little bugs, meaning that when we climb, the gas in these cells will expand and the pressure will increase above a certain point so that the cell is actually overloaded. Let's say that. And then should this red lamp come on, like here. But it is not working for every cell. So we have to keep an eye on it on this page. Yeah. I have it on my gauge. Yeah, I can see here a red exclamation point. But you only have this option to be 100% sure to see if a cell is overloaded. Okay? Now, we go into the ballast, into the water tanks first. We have some tanks that are not working, meaning that we can fill them up, but we cannot release ballast with some of these levers. Yeah? This is water tank 5. That's one of them. This is not working, so we empty it, because it would be dead weight that we cannot lose as ballast. Same for tank 6. Same for tank 12. Yeah, I reported all these things already to Red Wings and they will fix it. But for the moment we do it as I showed here. Then we make sure that 7 is completely filled and that 8 is completely filled. Yeah. And that should be sufficient. Yeah, 7 and 8 completely filled. And now we have minus around 3 tons lift. Yeah? Meaning we are too heavy. We could not climb or ascend. We now take away some freight, some cargo. We start at the front. We just get rid of all that stuff until we have a number of around 100 to 200 kilograms lift, positive lift, a green thumbs up. Yeah. Get rid of all that cargo and the utilities or food or whatever. Don't get rid of the car, it's 2 tons. We instead get rid of some cargo above it. Here. Now I have around 200 kilograms lift. In flight, this number is the exact difference between these two numbers. On the ground, there are some mooring ropes and the mooring forces of the people included and taken into account. That would be the proper term, I think. Try to set it to get a number between 100 and 200 kilograms. That's enough. Now we can uncheck this box.
Operations, please.
And now we can actually start to board our crew. We go into orders page. Captain or watch officer, both can nearly do the same, so it doesn't matter. And all systems on.
Getting started, please.
Now that means the crew is boarding and starting some first systems, and we just wait until this icon disappears. And we hear no more clickings, etc., etc. Okay, we are good. Second, we go to the steward page. Yeah, chief steward. Click on stairs to open the stairs, the boarding stairs. These ones. And then click on boarding.
Start boarding, please.
Roger. Starting boarding.
Yeah. Boarding will take a long time compared to the relative low number of passengers. That's because when the passengers enter, the crew has to get rid of some of these ballast to maintain the same lift. It's not animated during the boarding, but when the boarding is completed, all these ballast is removed. But in the background, for the flight model, ballast already changes during the boarding. We can expedite it, and we will see that this number slightly will change. But it should still be around 100 to 200 kilograms.
Boarding finished, sir.
When the boarding is finished, you hear some sounds. We just raise the stairs. And now we are ready to start our takeoff procedure. We can look at the passenger list, but we don't have to. Now we will order the crew to board the takeoff stations.
Prepare for takeoff.
Roger, all crew to takeoff station.
Yeah, we just wait until everything is ready. We will hear some noises and just wait until it's done. Okay. Now we go into the Chief Radio menu. Yeah, Chief Radio. And ask for takeoff. We watch this flag. It should turn from red to white. This light is flickering, but it should be just the same color as the flag. White means we are clear for takeoff. So we go back to Watch Officer or some other pages, doesn't matter at the moment right now. Now we take the megaphone. I recommend first using front cone up. It seems to be not implemented properly yet, but this anchor mast or this anchor station usually holds the cone down. And this station should not appear on every airport. I think it's coded the way that it only appears on airports and airfields where it was available originally. And just to be sure, we first remove these front cone lines with the order front cone up.
Haul up the front cone cable.
Roger.
Yeah. This anchor will slightly move backwards. Yeah, okay. And now we release the normal moorings.
Release mooring.
Yeah, most likely the airship will drop a little bit, but will then start to climb, because we should have positive lift. Now we can either check on this page that we have positive lift, or we can see the same number here. Positive lift. We should raise or ascend. But that is not enough to get to 100 meters, which is our first goal. So we release at first some water in the front. 2 to 3 clicks on number 20 and 15. That should still not be enough. We just keep an eye on mainly that gauge. That's an attitude indicator, I would call it. If the needle is on this side, we have a nose down attitude. If the needle is on that side, we have a nose up attitude. And we should prefer during takeoff and climb an attitude between 0 and 2. So we can use this at the moment as a radio altimeter. It should be an barometric altimeter, but at the moment it shows us the height. It's the same like that one or the CG.Load. It's just our height above ground. So we further release ballast in the front. these needles show us a balanced state. Yeah, if these needles are horizontal, then we are relatively balanced between front and rear. But at the moment it is not enough to have an nose up attitude. And I will now do something that you would normally not do at the moment, because we have a lot of ballast at the rear we cannot use. Yeah, we are missing around 4.5 tons of ballast we cannot use at the rear. So I just release 2 of these emergency tanks. Yeah, red are emergency tanks. Each of them has 500 kilograms, half a ton of water in it, and the difference is that it's just released with 1 click. All emergency tanks together don't have much more water than one single water ballast tank. These single water ballast tanks have around 2 or 2.5 ton of water. Yellow is fuel. We can also release fuel if we have to, and these gauges include fuel. So if you have released all the water that is connected to one gauge, you will still have some indication, and that's the fuel that is remaining in that area. But I believe all these gauges are not necessarily including all the tanks. So it's really hard sometimes to be very, very sure that you have really released water. So what you can do is, when you release water, look at this number. If you pull on this lever, this number should change drastically and fast. Do you see it? That's an indication that we have released water. If I'm using a tank that's dead and I pull here, nothing really changes drastically here. So that's a sign and an indication that we don't have released any ballast, any water. Just to explain it. Okay, we nearly have arrived at 100 meters. We go to the megaphone and we pull up the ropes, or we order to pull up the ropes.
Haul up the moorings.
Roger. Roger.
Roger.
Okay, we can put the megaphone down. I will also open the windows to hear some of the engine noises. Otherwise, it's very quiet in the gondola. Just release some more of the water in the front, so that I'm definitely above 100 meters. I now have a good attitude, and we now can start the engines. I will show it with one single engine first. It works this way. We give the order to, for instance, set the engine 1 to idle. So this lever moves here. Now the mechanic will move his levers to full, to idle. That's the sign that the order has arrived at the engine, that the mechanic definitely sets the right amount of thrust we want. If, for instance, you give orders too quickly, it can happen that our lever will stand here and the mechanic levers will just not move and differ from our lever. And that means the order has not arrived at the engine mechanic. Or he has gotten the order but was not able to set the proper thrust. Okay? So I will now first set all engines to idle. And I will raise the gear. Also, a little bug. If you just use this wheel, nothing will happen. you first have once to use a key binding, or joystick button. I will now raise the gear with my joystick button. Yeah, and now it is working. And from that point on, this lever or this gear, this wheel is working. Yeah, this control wheel is working. It will be fixed. And one of the first hotfixes, I'm pretty sure. So, then we have the speedometer. That's this control. We can actually lower it or raise it. Sorry, raise it or lower it. Okay. And I'm not yet convinced that I got it right, which position is which, but we can always see if the speedometer is working on this gauge. If we don't get a speed on this gauge, then we have the speedometer on the wrong setting. It's flagged out. So now it's actually up. So I have to lower it. I sometimes, I'm not sure how this variable really works, so I read it the wrong way on my bar. Okay, but always check just if you have it flagged out or not. So we have a good height. We have the engines running. We can start giving the order to throttle slow or half. That depends on how comfortable you feel. I'm just starting with slow. And we will set the elevator to 5 degrees nose up. That's this direction. Meaning I'm using my joystick to raise the elevator to 5 degrees and then I lock it with the key binding de-ice windshield toggle or windshield de-ice toggle. I don't know how exactly it's in English. The order of the words in the English keybinds. So locked. I can let my joystick go and the elevator keeps its position at 5 degrees. Throttles, command to half, and we start further ascending or climbing. I'm now using some of the middle ballasts. And for the beginning, I would suggest if you reached a comfortable altitude between 200 and 300 meters above the ground, keep it. If you start to climb higher, you have to watch again your gas tanks because the gas is further expanding and you might get overpressured gas cells. I will demonstrate it later, but it's just a recommendation for your first few flights. If you reach 200 to 300 meters, just maintain it. I further get rid of some water ballast. Now I'm using more the middle ones to gain more altitude. And your throttles will give you around 50 to 60 kilometers per hour in the half position. In the slow position, you will get around 25 kilometers per hour. And in the full position, you get around 130 kilometers per hour. If we have reached 200 meters and are comfortable and certain that we are not descending, I'm just throttling full up. So, and if everything is stable and okay, we will set our crew in the orders page to cruise.
All crew on cruise station.
All crew to crew station.
Yeah, now the crew members are on their stations for the cruise mode. I don't know the exact differences, but it has to do sometimes with how many people are on each station and if they rotate or not or something like that. They work in shifts. And now we mainly have to, watch and maintain our climb or altitude. Because at the moment this is a radar altimeter, it will jump. Yeah, if you fly over uneven ground, it will jump a lot. So I want to further climb because below 200 meters is a little bit too low. I further reduce my water ballast. And we also very critically watch this gauge. The faster we fly, the more effective the elevator becomes. That's like in aerodynamics. And our attitude might get too much nose up. We get a warning, an hour warning, if you reach round 4. And to counteract it, just lower the elevator, or get rid of some ballast and climb higher. Because the lift is mainly a fixed value at some altitudes, so it could happen that you have no lift, but your elevator still has some aerodynamic forces and will push your tail down. So you get a very tail down, nose up attitude, and that's not desirable, because you just have no lift. You will not climb. You will just tilt your airship. I just let it go for demonstration. For the demonstration, I want to hear and demonstrate the warning. Should come around the 4 position.
Warning, we are tilting dangerously upwards.
Yeah, there it was. We're just tilting. We are not really climbing, because we not really have lift. So to counteract this,
Tilting dangerously upwards.
I just release my elevator and let it go back to neutral.
Warning, we are tilting dangerously upwards.
And if you have a height as around this, you can just try to maintain it, leaving the elevator relatively neutral. Or if you want to climb higher, you just have to get rid of more ballast, more water. I want to climb higher. I want to demonstrate how it looks when the gas is expanding too much. So I'm getting rid of some middle and rear water. Yeah, now we have lift. It's not enough for me. More water. This one is dead. This one is dead. And this one is dead. 12. Now I just adjust my elevator to again have a little nose up attitude. And I lock it at around 2 degrees. And with our setup, we should, yeah, in any second see some first overpressure warnings. It will start around 300. It's the first cell that has overpressure. The gas has expanded too much. And if we are getting closer to 400, more and more cells will show this sign. On this page, it's this symbol, this icon. And that just means you can either descend, also go back to a lower altitude, or you have to release some of your gas in these cells if you want to climb higher. These two options are the only ones you have. I want to climb higher. I want to demonstrate it. More ballast. And these are tasks that we have to do the entire flight. That's the most important part. Now we have all cells overpressured. And now we pretend we want to climb higher. So we have to do two things. We have to release gas from these valves, from these cells, and we have to lower our ballast at the same time, because otherwise we would start descending. So I'm releasing. Yes, I'm starting here. I'm releasing water. Cell 5 is still overloaded. So 5, 6, 7. Um, 8, 9, 10. 8, 9, 10. $11, 12, 13, 12, we just can leave it in a overloaded state a little bit. 14, 15, 16. 14 and 15, 16 are on this lever, and 1 and 2 on this lever. Yeah.
Tilting dangerously upwards.
These are always 2 cells at 1.
Warning. We are tilting
Again, the warning.
upwards.
I release the elevator just to counteract, and I'm releasing more ballast. And that's the managing of the altitude, of your height or altitude. And for the heading, you can either use the gyro, so you can set a desired heading with this gyro compass, let's say 270. And then use this switch. That's some kind of autopilot of heading mode. But it's just very, very, very slow. And it's not very, very, very precise. So you are always more precise and faster if you just use your rudder also manually. Yeah, meaning you just set a heading you want. If you want to turn, you want to do a long turn, you can just also lock your rudder. Yeah, pitot heat, or pitot heat toggle. That's the command. Now we are turning, and when we have reached the desired heading, we just unlock the rudder, and it will nearly maintain the heading. There is a little bit offset in it, but it's more precise than the gyro command. So I just let myself drop, or just maintain the current ballast. It's okay. It's a good attitude with 0 elevator. And we can now demonstrate a fast turn using differential thrust. If we want to do a fast turn to the left, now we can just pull back the left engines to half or slow, so that the right engines will just push us to the left, turn us left. So I'm commanding half speed on the left side, just making sure both engines are getting the commands and the orders and doing what I say. And now we are turning relatively fast. Now we can even turn faster if we additionally use the rudder. And we could even turn faster with commanding even less throttle on the left side. So I would turn to around 90 degrees heading, 090, to get back to my airfield. I recommend to stop the differential engine thrust at around 50 degrees before you reach your desired heading. So I will at around 150 to 130 degrees, 150 to 140 degrees heading. Now I will command back full power on the left engines, because it really takes quite an amount of time before the engine actually reaches the ordered throttle amount. The rest I just will command with the wheel, with the rudder. At the moment I'm using the in-game map to find my way back if I don't have enough visual clues. So I have to, maybe 80 degrees is enough. Could just stop the rudder. That should bring me back to my airport. And the aim is, or the goal is, to reach the airport perimeter with around 50 kilometers per hour at an altitude of, or at a height of around 200 meters above the ground. The bigger the airport is, the faster you can be at the perimeter or at the fence. And the smaller the airfield is, the slower you should be. But for my airport now, for Tegel, for Tempelhof, I would use 50 kilometers per hour as a target when I'm reaching the fence. I will make a shortcut until we are a little bit closer to the airport, and then we will go through the landing procedure. Okay, I have my airfield in sight. I will land, or I want to land here. And first thing I do is set my crew into landing mode. Orders page, watch officer or captain, and land.
Prepare for landing.
Roger, all crew to landing station.
Ready to land.
Just
Ready
waiting
to land.
till everything reported back, everyone reported back. Just correcting my heading. And I will now start to descend, slowly releasing gas. At this height we can release 3 cells at once. I'm using one in the back, one in the middle, and one in the front. And I'm looking at the needles and I'm using one that has the most in it. Okay, I'm also starting to decelerate. So I'm setting, or I'm commanding, throttles full reverse until I have reached around 50 kilometers per hour. Then I will go back to half mode. It depends on the actual distance. Okay, 200 meters is our goal. I'm releasing further gas. 1, 2, 3. You can use this handle. It will release 4 cells at once. But I'm just using manual single cells. Just trying to get a good heading. It will almost depend on the wind direction. You will almost want to come in with direct headwind and no crosswind. 250 meters above the ground. And again, I'm using this, and the 12th. Okay, I'm at a certain distance, 74 kilometers per hour. I go back to half forward. Height is nearly okay. I'm just releasing 2 more cells. I'm taking this one and this one. And we go to our chief radio and ask to land. I still can correct a little bit. I have slight, tailwind, but it's okay for the demonstration, it's enough. And at half speed I will maintain around 50 to 60 kilometers per hour, that's okay. That's the speed I maintain until I reach the fence. We have 160 meters, that's okay. I wouldn't go much lower. 200 meters would be better. I shouldn't have pulled 2 gas cells. 1 would have been sufficient. That's okay. I could correct with ballast again, but I just leave it that way. As long as I maintain more than 100 meters, that's okay for me now. And we do some more preparations. We just raise the speedometer.
Everything works normally.
Yeah. It's flagged and we lower the gear. I prepare the megaphone. And slowly but steadily we are approaching our airfield. Everything looks good. There should be a white dot in the middle. I'm trying to hit it. I think there it is. Can't see it. Should be here somewhere. Speed is okay. Altitude, height is okay. Everything else looks stable. I just gotta zoom. I reset my camera. Or reset my camera. And our rudder will get less and less effective the slower we get. If we are really slow and we want to turn, we have to use differential thrust. It's just not possible to do with the rudder if we have no or just a little speed. Still can't see the white circle with the white dot. I'm turning very slowly to the left. And as soon as we reach the perimeter or the fence, I will set my engines to idle. If you have a long or a big airfield, you can keep some speed and set it to slow. But I think if I set it to idle, it should bleed off the speed slowly, and if I notice it's not enough, I go into reverse. I just would like to see the white dot. There it is. There it is. Okay, there it is. A little bit to left. Yeah. I don't want to sit on the white spot. I want to have the white spot in front of my cone when I land. That's my aiming point now. I'm trying to turn a little bit more left. Okay, and engines idle. And I'm releasing gas from one cell. Let's take, no, 12. Now we try to slowly lower our height to 100 meters above the ground. Okay, I think it's not enough. Deceleration, I go into full reverse. And when I reach around 20 kilometers per hour, I will set the engines to stop. Yeah, we will definitely overshoot a little bit, but it's okay. I should have gone into reverse a little bit earlier. And we don't have to, or we must stay too long into reverse, because we then actually will reverse at some times and fly backwards. So around 20 kilometers per hour, I set the engines to stop. And we will slowly start to descend to the ground. I'm using again this one. And at around 100 meters, we can release the ropes. This one. Very slowly, very controlled. If you notice, or if you see that you go too fast, just go a little bit backwards. But that's absolutely okay for us right now. We have enough space here. I did overshoot the entire length. But it's okay. So 100 meters above the ground, megaphone, descend all the ropes.
Drop the moorings.
Yeah, drop
Roger.
the moorings.
Copy.
Copy.
Roger, copy, copy. Yeah, of course. And at around 60 to 50 meters, we should see the people on the ground. They should then pop up, spawn. this one. There it is. And there should be the guy with the green flag. And that actually means we are cleared for land. Or cleared to land. Cleared for landing. That would be proper, I think. And when we are around 30 meters above the ground, I will command moor the airship so that the people grab the ropes. In real life, I believe the ropes were around 100 meters long. I'm not sure. People start to appear from the ground. It's a little bit tricky. I think this is very hard to program or to code. I can live with it. We are around 30 meters. Moor the airship.
Grab the ropes.
Just takes a few seconds. Now the people grab the ropes and they pull us to the ground. If you would have too much lift, we would just release a little bit of gas because the people just cannot hold too much lift. It's just... We could be... we could just lose all our ballast and pull them up in the air. Well, we don't do that. Oh no, we don't do that. Oh, we will drink to our successful flight. These bottles were used to measure the altitude or the height above the ground. It's described in the manual how that would work. It's okay. We have a little bit excessive lift, I guess. I could just make it easier for them and release one little bit. But we have to be careful here. We just don't want to crash into the ground. We don't want to have negative lift. We don't want to have a red thumbs down here. Yeah. And we are down. Both gears are on the ground. We command front cone down. Doesn't work. Okay, then we don't do it. Megaphone, go away. And orders, captain or watch officer, all systems off.
Full stop, please.
Okay. Now we can deboard Chief Steward stairs down. And deboard.
Proceed with unboarding, please.
Roger. Starting unboarding.
We can also expedite it.
Unboarding finished, sir.
Yeah, finished. They jumped. Okay, we're done. If you want to deboard the crew, we just click on Cold and Start. Then everyone will leave. And that's it. It really is a lot of fun. And it's not that hard. If you once have done it and you understood this and this, you can fly the thing. It's not that complicated. Huh? Old navigation methods also implemented, which I do not understand right now. But I intend to learn them. Yeah, it's really interesting how this works, or did work in the ancient times. So I tried to deboard myself. I'm not sure, I think it was that door. Right. Here it is, the exit. Ta-da! Yeah, well, it doesn't go further. Oh, now I'm trapped in a tank, whatever. Okay guys, that's it. I hope I could explain some things so that you understood it. And please keep in mind I'm not a native English speaker, and I'm also not familiar with every single aspect of this add-on. Okay, it's very complicated, but I think my video should be enough to show you how to absolve your first few short flights with the Hindenburg. If you did like the video, or if it even helped you a little bit, please consider giving me a thumbs up on YouTube, because that would be very important for the rating. And other than that, I wish you a nice day, and I see you. Bye bye.